What's up, guys? Couch Classics here.
Hey, Couch Classics here, Sticks.
And Rayatune.
Welcome to another awesome episode.
Boom. Today we're going to talk about Mario. Mario?
Super Mario.
Let's see what I can figure out about Mario. Just bear with me. I'm going to check Wikipedia.
He's a small guy. Likes doing mushrooms.
Mushrooms, right. And he's an electrician.
Right.
Joke.
So, way back in the good old days when Mario first made his appearance, Nintendo did not have a system, so the company was making games for arcades and for Atari. The first appearance, I think, was Donkey Kong in the arcade, where Mario was a carpenter named Jumpman. And he was trying to save the princess from the big giant monkey.
Right. Classic. Kind of
They were sued.
Vertical platforming, kind of. You work your way up.
Climb the tower.
Yeah, up the tower towards the princess. Throws barrels down at you. Everyone's probably seen at least a screenshot of it. Or a little bit of video.
Fun game.
If
really
you haven't
hard.
played it.
I'm not very good at it. But that's okay. They're actually sued for that because of its resemblance to King Kong. But apparently something legal was going on and they didn't actually have the rights to King Kong at the time. Like it had been a certain period of time or something. Anyway, Nintendo got off on that one. They lucked out.
Yeah.
And they continued to use Mario, the short mustached plumber man.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a carpenter in that one, like I said.
Right.
The next game that they had him in for Atari that I know of was actually called Mario Brothers. And that game is in its entirety in Super Mario 3 as like a bonus stage where you can, player 1 and player 2 battle each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the weird bugs hopping around and you jump underneath the platforms and hit the bugs and knock them off. And
yeah, just a single screen versus...
And they come out of the pipes and kind of work down. Anyway.
That one's on 2600 also.
You don't really hear about that one much. Nobody really talks about it.
Yeah.
But they were both actually in the plumbing at that point, so I'm guessing he was a plumber by then.
Change his profession.
Would make sense anyway. Anyway, that was also on Atari. And I think that was the first time an entire game was included as a bonus game inside of a different game. I think. Don't quote me on that, but it's one of the first.
Sounds like it could be a fact.
First. It's most likely legitimately that's what it was.
Right.
So Atari did that. Shigeru Miyamoto. I'm terrible with names, but Miyamoto.
That sounds more like a Japanese name.
Anyway, dude that developed Mario wanted to use him as a mascot, which had never been done in games before, but he wanted him to be the face of Nintendo. He wanted him to make appearances in all sorts of different games, and that obviously ended up happening throughout the series and continuing today. I mean, Mario shows up in everything still.
When Nintendo and Mario are synonymous, I mean, it's just you can't think of one without the other.
You say Nintendo and you think Mario. So
great success.
So yeah, obviously he succeeded in that one.
What's awesome, I mean, at this period in video gaming, is pretty much it was dying. Atari and the flood of those kind of home consoles.
Very, very poor.
Yeah, low quality, massive amounts of games that were pretty bad, and people were kind of getting sick of it. I mean, they just kept. I mean, by the time the 7800 came out, I mean, they basically have all the same games that they had on the 2600. They were just upgraded. People were getting bored.
Upgraded.
And I mean, it was a lot of the same kind of stuff, shooters and low quality
screen
platforms, single screen stuff. It just wasn't really that amazing, and people were getting sick of it. But then, I mean,
Miyamoto wanted to build stories. He wanted video games that were highly story driven. He wanted there to be a point, a purpose, and he wanted to incite emotion in the players. He wanted those adventures. So NES gets packaged and released with Super Mario. Not originally, but within the first, they had their first release, and then that next release had Mario in it. And from there on out, they packaged the Nintendo with Mario in it. And I'm not alone in this, I know, but Mario, as far as I remember, was the very first video game that I ever played. And I know there's tons of people out there had that same experience. Mario was their first experience in video games. So for me, playing Super Mario Brothers, I didn't know that there was games without stories. It just made sense to me that games had to have stories. So that was my expectation from the very beginning. I expected there to be different levels and backgrounds and music and all this kind of fun stuff and secrets and hidden gems and everything else. And
up until that point, it was largely, there was puzzle solving and stuff like that, but it was largely high score based. You were trying to beat a high
screen.
Score. And
single screen, and it just got harder until you either failed or broke it. Programming could only go so far.
There was a high score, obviously, in Super Mario Brothers. It kept score.
Which was weird. You never really pay attention to that.
The goal was getting through all 8 worlds and saving the princess.
Right.
That's what you wanted to do. You wanted to save the princess.
And then doing it again, because after you did it once, you got to start at the beginning, and everything was more difficult.
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
They put a lot into that game. I mean, and it was the first to do most of that.
Yeah.
Platforming was severely limited at that time. Pitfall was around, and there was kind of, jumping and swinging and such, but there wasn't a story to
like
it.
Super Mario
it wasn't
Brothers.
like a grand purpose. It just wasn't the same.
Yeah. And I mean,
there weren't the memorable characters. Like, who was the guy in Pitfall?
Yeah.
It's the Pitfall guy. He didn't have a name. He didn't have a story. There was no purpose behind
There's
it.
a bunch of different colored blocks, that you had to avoid. I mean, it was the
And maybe
graphics
there
were obviously
was.
a step up a little bit, but
We just don't know.
yeah. But I mean, Super Mario Brothers had, hidden blocks that contained secret items, warp
Power-ups.
worlds, power-ups. Had fire.
Secret levels.
You could throw fireballs. You grow big. You get small. Water. It didn't have water levels. Super Mario Brothers had water levels.
Yeah, there were legit water levels.
Yeah,
You had to swim around it.
But up until then, it was kind of a dedicated thing. You were doing, it was a game in the water as a game. You didn't cross between the two in different worlds, And there was tons of different enemies, and they all had
you could
different
take dozens
characters.
of different paths to get to the end. It was an incredible game. It still is today. I've been playing that game since I was 5 years old, so I've been playing that game for almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
For a game to keep popping up, to keep you coming back every single year. I'll play through and beat that game at least once.
Yeah.
Just because I enjoy it so much.
And another really awesome thing that started happening is Super Mario was awesome, but then they started including the accessory of the light gun and started releasing the cartridge that had Mario and Duck Hunt, which also contained the clay pigeon shoot.
And that's the one that I had.
Yeah,
I got it.
A lot
and
of
it
people
came
had
with
that one.
Mario. It came with Mario Duck Hunt. It came with the 2 controllers so that 2 people could play, and it came with the light gun. So, you were ready to go. If you went in, forked out the cash, and went home, that was it. You were ready to go for months playing through those games. And it's just in one cartridge.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot. My first games were, I had that pack-in, and then either I think it was for Christmas, I ended up with Top Gun, and my grandpa got me the wireless joystick for Top Gun. Now, the joystick didn't work, but it was a wireless controller for the NES.
Right.
And I wish I still had it, because nowadays, I've never seen one again. But that was, of course, with the stuff that went to those other folks that, when we got our Sega Genesis, we gave them the Nintendo because they didn't have anything. So
right,
we made some kids' lives, by doing that. That was
by
pretty
choice.
Cool. But, it didn't matter to us. We had Sega Genesis, and it was super cool. But anyway, I had that. I had Mario Duck Hunt, Top Gun, and Adventure Island, which is awesome, Hudson Soft. And then Ninja Turtles, because I had to have Ninja Turtles. That was my big thing.
Yeah.
Those are the only 4 games that I remember having for years and years. I mean, that was it. And when we were playing games, when I was going to play games, it was like I'd sit down and play Ninja Turtles, but everybody knows that game was ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a little kid, you know, I was 5, 6, 7 years old when we had this Nintendo, so I wasn't like grandmaster at video games, you know. I never made it very far in that game.
Yeah.
I could get past the dam level, which everyone hates, but then you're in this big open world and it's not linear anymore, and I had no idea what to do. It was beyond my small brain.
Yeah.
I would still have a rough time today. But
yeah. Have to sit down and try.
To be honest.
But
at the time, that was just crazy.
Yeah.
So I played that a little bit because it was Ninja Turtles, but it wasn't quite what I was hoping for. Mm-hmm. And Adventure Island was a lot of fun, but it's fast paced. It's not an easy game. I mean, it's rough. So for me, I kept going back to Super Mario. Mm-hmm. You know, I could just keep going back and playing that. Top Gun, of course, doesn't work basically. So. Yeah. Even with the controller, you know, the joystick that didn't work. I mean, even if you just use the controller, it just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's some secret to it. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't think there is.
It just doesn't work very well.
And then after that, of course, we didn't have Super Mario 2 until we reacquired a Nintendo many years later.
Yeah, that was in like '96 when we finally got Nintendo again. So,
but after that,
Genesis.
The next Mario was Super Mario 2 that we got in the States, Super Mario Brothers 2. And there was, you know, everything about it was different. I mean, you had some of the same characters. You had Mario, Luigi, and you knew the princess, but of course her sprite was a lot more advanced. And then they introduced Toad, and the whole mechanics were different. I mean, each of the characters had a little bit different ability.
Yeah,
and, I mean, you're pulling vegetables out of the ground and fighting, you know, random
throwing stuff, and they had some weird, like power-ups and stuff like that, which is cool. But everyone could tell it was just really different game. Like Mario and Toad are pretty much the same. They're kind of fast. They jump, but they don't jump very high. Mm-hmm. Princess could jump and float for a while, which came in handy.
Yeah,
and then Luigi could jump much higher, and he stayed afloat. Like his gravity was less or something. He's like doing his feet thing, like
keeps running.
He could like kind of float. Mm-hmm. And Luigi's probably the most useful in that whole game.
We never knew then, though, that wasn't really Mario.
Well, back then, I never even beat the game. Like I never got far enough in it to beat it. I didn't beat it until a few years back when I just sat down and started playing through it. And I was actually doing speed runs on it, and you can get through almost the entire game with just Luigi hitting all the warp tunnels and stuff like that. But again, I mean, there wasn't any power-ups really. I mean, they had the superstar thing, but they had a life bar, so you had hearts and you could get hit a couple times before you shrank and then die. I mean, I guess you got the mushroom, which kept you big, but it was a heart system, so it was weird. Like you'd go through the magic doorway into the Twilight world and get coins and stuff. It was an odd game, and we didn't know, you know, it was just another game. And at the same time, they had the Super Mario Brothers Super Show out on TV, and I had watched a couple episodes of that, but we didn't have cable, so we didn't get that channel. So it was based on me going to a friend's house or going to, you know, grandma's house or something like that, you know, and then I might catch it, but it was very rare. And that show...
If you haven't watched Super Mario Brothers Super Show...
Check it out on YouTube and stuff. Like, you can get some episodes through
pretty silly. You can watch quite a bit, I think, on YouTube.
It's awesome. It's hilarious. But to me, I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely
it was Mario.
Awesome.
I mean, that's what we were into.
More Mario.
Mario, whatever had Mario.
Mm-hmm. But we didn't have Mario 2 at the time. I would play it at friend's house or whatever.
Yeah.
But the show was on, and I could watch the show. And the show was based on Mario 2. So it had all the same bad guys and characters, and storyline was in that world. And it had the whole animated thing that took place in that world, in the Mario 2 world. And then it had the live action thing where Super Mario and Luigi are living in Brooklyn in an apartment or whatever, and they have like random normal life problems that they're dealing with in ridiculous ways.
Right, because they're basically in the game. I mean, they're
really cheesy acting,
really bad. They're incompetent. It's just if you just go on
paisanos,
hey paisanos, if you just go on and YouTube like the intro, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. There's like a Mario rap, the Super Mario Super rap. Show rap, and they just come in dancing, and it's it's awesome.
It's hilarious. Like, if I walked in with a video camera and told two guys to dance to a song
without
just like
any preparation,
spot, that's what it looks like. They just one take. We got one take, guys. Do this, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
We got a really, really, really small budget.
Like maybe they sent out, and they're like, "Okay, we're looking for guys," and only 2 guys showed up, and they're like, "Let's just shoot it.
See what happens."
You guys made it, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was ridiculous, but it's hilarious. It's a very funny.
Awesome show, yeah. And in Japan, on the Famicom, they didn't get Super Mario Brothers 2 as we see it.
No, it was basically Super Mario 1.
Yeah. Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan was like all the same sprites, the levels and everything like that, except it was just a lot harder than Super Mario 1. And eventually it was released in the States as the Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels.
On Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. Yeah. And you can play through it there or get an emulator. Either way, it's exactly the same game. I mean, you can tell all the sprites are the same. The level designs are just more complex, but like if you played through Super Mario and then you moved to Super Mario The Lost Levels, aside from there being a mushroom that will shrink you or kill you, like the bad mushroom, everything else is the same. Not as far as power-ups and bad guys. I think we're all pretty much the same. I can't think of any unique bad guys, so world designs are basically the same. It was just they took Super Mario and then made more levels, basically. So calling it the Lost Levels,
calling it expansion pack in modern terms,
first expansion
to Super Mario Brothers.
But they didn't bring it to the U.S. because they thought that it was too difficult for U.S. players for whatever
primitive
reason.
Pink skin.
Obviously, not the first time they did that. They still do that today, where they dumb everything down for us.
Yeah,
the simplistic men over here.
So if you don't already know, why is our Super Mario Brothers 2 completely different? Is because what we did was take a Japanese game called Doki Doki Panic, and we changed all the sprites and called it Super Mario Brothers 2. I mean, the mechanics are different, the characters are different, except for the key Mario characters. But
all the enemies were completely different.
Everything else is from
out of a different
game called Doki Doki Panic. And I mean, the main character in that one is like a little guy with a turban. I mean, it's completely different. So what happened is they got Super Mario Brothers 2, which was the expansion to Super Mario Brothers, the first one that we both got. And then we had Super Mario Brothers 2, the ripoff of Doki Doki Panic, and then Japan released another copy called Super Mario Brothers USA, which is the copy of what we made of the copy of Doki Doki Panic, if you're following me. So they've got one cartridge. It's a blue cartridge that's Doki Doki Panic for the Famicom. And then they re-released Super Mario USA, and it's a bright pink cartridge.
Nice.
So they have all the versions here, and we eventually got all the versions there, minus the original Doki Doki Panic. But and they had to try and catch up with us because it was a little bit different game, and they could put Super Mario USA on it, and then ka-ching, 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 resell. Right. Probably made a lot more money than the original Doki Doki Panic, just because
and all they had to do was print a new label.
Yeah, just they, I don't know what they did. They took their pink Barbie cartridge or something like that and changed the card out or something they had sitting around. But that's the way they ended up. And then after that, I mean, Super Mario 2, that was a weird fluke. And then Super Mario 3, they both got the same game for that.
Yeah, and it was back in sync. Somewhere in this period of time, they came out with the Game Boy Super Mario Land.
Oh, yeah. That was one
which
of my
takes
very
place
first
in a whole
games.
different world. But it's a great game for the Game Boy. I mean, we used to play that all the time.
Yeah.
And again, all new monsters and stuff like that, kind of similar. You could get the fire and the mushroom power up, but the whole level design and everything is kind of different. It's still Mario, it still feels like Mario, but all the enemies and stuff are way different. And it's a hard game, but it's really, really fun game.
I remember when we got that, you and Mom went and got that for me for my birthday. And I was probably 4?
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5. And
we got that, and it came with Tetris and Super Mario. And we got Super Mario.
Shortly after that, I think I got, maybe it wasn't at the same time.
We were still in Idaho.
Yeah. Shortly after that, I ended up getting the first Kirby's Dreamland and Pokemon Red.
Yeah, Pokemon Jungle Book,
Pokemon came
one
out.
of those years.
Yeah. But yeah, that
I always
Super Mario
pick the
Land
games
is
out
awesome.
for you. Whenever Mom was like, "Oh, what does your brother want for his birthday?" I'd be like, "All right, let's go to this store, get some games."
Yeah, and that game, it's a really, really good Mario game. If you haven't played it, there's 2 of them.
It's fantastic.
Super Mario Land and Super Mario Land 2. You have the
cartridge
cartridge in there close by?
Wario Worlds and stuff like that. I don't have the Mario Kart. I don't know what happened to it. I had it here like a couple weeks ago, and I was playing it, and then I couldn't find Tetris, and I found Tetris, and now I can't find Mario. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, so I keep a card in my Superboy.
Ah, there it is.
That's where Tetris was, so I must have pulled Tetris out and put Mario in the slot.
Nice.
But this is it. This is your original Game Boy. Needs to be pulled apart and cleaned, but I don't have the weird Y bit for it.
Well, I mean, it's
it's a little old.
Some years old.
But it still works. I've
at least 23 years old.
Turned it on, played.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Great.
But I've got the Advance and stuff I play on that. It works just as smooth, and those work better. Rechargeable batteries, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, for Game Boy, it's excellent. Tons of levels, tons to do in it. Again, secrets and warps and all that kind of fun stuff. So awesome game. Definitely check that one out.
Good soundtrack, too.
It was really good music.
It's not the traditional music.
Yeah, off from what they were doing. But, at the time, I mean, in our experience, you get Super Mario, and then you get Super Mario 2, which is completely different. You get the Game Boy version, which is completely different.
Just the way
the Wizard movie comes out, which is just a big promo for Super Mario 3. And you get the first little sights of Super Mario 3, and Super Mario 3 is completely different.
Yeah.
So from our view, everything leading up to this point, every time you see Mario, it's Mario and Luigi, and some characters are the same, but it's different every time you see it.
Yeah.
So
nothing
that's
wrong
just
with
what
that.
we
expected.
Didn't care.
It was awesome.
It didn't matter. So Super Mario 3 comes out, and it's top view, and you can select your levels and take different paths. Again, huge update in graphics and everything. Gameplay is smooth. This is
even more
it's
secrets
the best
and everything
at the time.
Yeah.
At the time, absolute best game. As far as Mario goes, it's the smoothest. It's the cleanest. Tons of levels.
Yeah.
Tons of cool secrets. Incredible amount of power-ups and stuff like that. There's stuff, I was reading through some stuff online, and there's stuff in that game that I never even knew you could do. Special power-ups and stuff that I didn't even know
really?
existed. Yeah, it's crazy how many secrets and stuff were in that game that I never knew existed. I'd have to go back and put in some serious time to actually work it out, but it's worth it. The game's that good,
Yeah.
All of them, they're always worth the replay.
Yeah.
So that comes out, and it's awesome. 2-player mode again. Super Mario 2 was not. That was a 1-player game, so that was kind of rough. So you get 2 players again. This one works instead of, which we skipped, instead of 2-player mode being 1 player gets to play until he dies, which could be 8 worlds.
The whole game. In our case, you play all the way to World 8, and then I run 10 feet and fall into the first pit. Then back to you, finish the game. Let's play something else.
So it was 2-player, but
but it was
Super Mario 3 comes out, and it's cooperative. It's not on-screen co-op, but one person beats a level, then it's the next person's turn, and they beat a different level, and you work through the game board as you're doing it, clearing levels and getting power-ups and stuff like that, so you can move forward. So that was a really cool feature. Again, just all the power-ups were awesome, and I didn't have that game until
much later.
High school, when I was starting to collect again, into high school.
Yeah.
So, growing up, we didn't have that. All we had was Super Mario 1 and 2, so...
Well, even when we started recollecting games, I don't know, when was that? The early
2000s. Because when I graduated high school, even. 2003, so that's when it kind of kicked back up for me.
When we got the Nintendo from our cousins, we had
that was in 96.
But at that time, 96, at that time when we were getting games, we were getting used games from video stores and things like that. And we just never came across Mario 3. It was either too expensive or it's just not something that we saw that often. I mean, we ended up with a lot of the more obscure games that were a lot more affordable for, right. Mom and Dad at the time. We were getting, Bionic Commando. We had Blaster Master. We had Ikari Warriors. Iron Sword. Wizards and Warriors. Iron Sword 2. Wizards and Warriors.
We got a lot of games that way.
Yeah.
As they were getting rid of them from the video store. Because we would go in and we ran a game or whatever, and we found out that they were getting rid of games. I asked. I was like, "Are you guys selling these? What's going on?" So we ended up putting dibs on several games, and so for over a couple of year period, they would call us and say, "Hey, this game, we're getting rid of it if you guys want it," and they'd sell it for just a couple bucks.
Yeah,
it was enough that we could afford to get it with what little cash that we had, So we ended up with Battletoads that way, like you said, Blaster Master. That was really awesome.
A lot of those kind of games are just that, But we never came across the more popular, expensive games like Super Mario 3, so we just didn't have it until a lot later.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, we watched The Wizard and all that stuff. I mean, we had all that stuff at the video stores. We loved all of that. But
I mean, Super Mario 3 was out, and I played it at friends' house and stuff. Other people had it. Games like Metroid and Legend of Zelda and stuff like that.
It's just not how we grew up with games. It just wasn't our situation. But I mean, after Super Mario 3, then it was a lot smoother segue into the next generation.
Super Mario World.
Yeah.
The Super Nintendo comes out, and
that was the pack-in for the.
It was again, pack-in game. Nintendo's got their Mario guy sealed into the franchise. He is the face of Nintendo, so they just packed it in, no questions asked. Again, 2 controllers. What's wrong, guys? Throw in an extra controller, especially nowadays. If you're going to fork out $600 for a system,
right?
Give us 2 controllers. Come on. You're not going with, you're not losing anything by throwing an extra controller in there. They nickel and dime you so bad nowadays anyway, though. That'd be like releasing a Mario game and then you got to pay for, pants for Mario and a shirt for Mario and a hat for Mario and then pay to unlock levels as you go. And if you want co-op, that's extra. And you got to buy characters if you want to play with them.
Yeah, it's pay to win on the warp zones. Things like that.
Some of those games are really, really bad. Luckily, they've never done that real harsh with them, like Mario and stuff like that. They've never done that. Nintendo's been pretty good about that in general.
Probably
but anyway, that's beside the point.
That's a different video altogether. If we feel like whining one day. To
me, Super Mario 3 and Super Mario World came out really close to each other. To me, it seems like, if you didn't have a Super Nintendo, then you were playing Super Mario 3, So, both games were really similar. Tons of content.
Yeah.
Super Mario World is it's so much smoother. The music's incredible.
The music is outstanding. Awesome.
The power-ups are kind of add-ons to Super Mario 3.
Yeah. Then they had the whole Yoshi, the introduction of the Yoshi character, in a Mario game. That, you can ride it around and... And
that was awesome.
Use Yoshi to get through secret endings and stuff. I mean, it was I think
tons of sequels.
It's my favorite Super Nintendo game for sure. I mean,
it's definitely my favorite Mario game, too. Like,
yeah.
To me, like the Super Nintendo system. If you say Super Nintendo system, what can it do? I mean, throw in Super Mario World, and it did it so well.
Yeah.
Again, 2-player. You're cooperating to clear the boards. You play different levels, and you get your power ups as you go. You could actually give each other lives, which was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. You had continues and stuff where you could keep playing with your friend. If everybody died.
Mm-hmm.
The saves, because it was so massive, you could save as you went through, which would have been nice on Mario 3, but the technology just wasn't quite there for it to work properly, I guess.
And that was really it for Super Nintendo. I mean, they had more Mario titles, but that was the only Mario-style game. I mean, that they had, Mario Kart and Smash Brothers.
No,
they
had Mario Kart and Mario RPG.
RPG
was a really good one.
Then they did Mario All-Stars that had the
1,
Lost Levels,
2, 3, and Lost Levels.
And Worlds, yeah.
And Worlds if you got that cart.
Yeah.
Super Mario World 2, which was completely different than Super Mario World. It actually plays kind of like a point and click, I think, if I remember. I started playing it a little bit, and I just couldn't get into it. Yeah. So.
And they have Wario's Woods was one of the later cartridges that came out for Super Nintendo. But we never had one. We didn't have a Super Nintendo. We played our...
I didn't get one until after I got out of high school. Yeah, I went to the pawn shops.
And then when PlayStation 1 came out, we got a PlayStation 1. We didn't have a 64. We played it, friends' houses. Played it at Walmart, So, I mean, but then as soon as 64 came out, it was different. Everything was 3D, and it wasn't the same Super Mario. Super Mario 64, it's its own, like...
It's like its own genre.
It's a fork, in the Mario, and after that, there was a series of three-dimensional Mario games.
But like 64 Mario, we'll talk about it later. But that's when it stopped being adventure platform game and went to a puzzle-solving, widespread kind of open world,
game,
almost RPG-like. But we'll talk about the 3D games from 64 and on. But we're going to skip ahead because on the Nintendo DS, they came out with the new Super Mario Brothers, which again was 2D side-scrolling platforming, and it is an incredible game.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like the culmination of everything that you want in Mario. I mean, they're just so good.
It's not quite like Super Mario 3 or Super Mario World, but it's really close, and it's really smooth. It's very intuitive. Like if you played Mario games and you're playing this, then the secret blocks and the warp zones and stuff are really intuitive in it. Like it's all designed, and it just kind of flows through it's like a sequel to Super Mario World, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the next step. And then they released it on the Wii and stuff like that, too, with the sequels.
Yeah, they've come out with sequels to that. I mean, different power-ups. You can get really tiny or really, really big. I mean, it's just, it's tons of fun.
The really big one, yeah.
And
it works. Wiping out everything.
Works really well. The controls are really good. I mean, everything about it is awesome.
Yeah, and then the Wii version, again, side-scrolling, but like 4-player at the same time on the same screen, and it gets chaotic. I don't know if you guys have played that, probably. A lot of you have played that version, and it is awesome.
And again, Mario still pack in. You got Mario for the Wii U, Mario for the Wii. They packed in with all those.
64, they packed it in.
Yeah.
It's just continued throughout the years, and that's awesome.
Then, let's see, aside from...
They wanted to pack in Mario with the Game Boy, but the guy that got the licensing on Tetris convinced him not to. In order to sell more Game Boys, he convinced them to put in Tetris because he knew that all the children would play Mario. But if you put Tetris in, the children and the adults would be playing, and that would sell more units. And
it worked.
I don't know if that was it, but it is so far the best-selling Nintendo system ever. So,
well, I mean, all the moms that I know liked Tetris.
Even our mom, who doesn't like games, plays Tetris.
Yeah.
You know, so
slick move.
Very good.
Thankfully, you guys got me Tetris, which is awesome. I love Tetris, but thankfully, you guys
I didn't
also
get
got
it for
me
you. It was
Super
a pack-in. I love Tetris.
Yeah.
But that's a different story.
Yep.
So Mario makes his appearances in all sorts of games. He's in Mario, like Punch-Out. He's the referee in, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, and all these different Mario things, and then all the little side things. He's always popping up as Mario.
He's got his finger in so many pies now.
All different systems and stuff. Doesn't even matter. So the Mario movie.
Yeah, we got to talk about the Mario movie.
For some reason, everybody thinks it's horrible. When I was a kid, I saw the previews. They had the previews in comic books. I posted a couple pictures on Instagram of that. Like, they had the advertisements in magazines and Nintendo Power and, like I said, comic books. It was on Sunday morning cartoons. You saw it everywhere, and it was all exciting because it's Super Mario and it's going to be a movie, and that's awesome.
Yeah, to us, it was different. Just like all the subsequent games, Mario was different, but it was Mario, and we thought, man, we couldn't get enough of it.
Awesome. Yeah, man, it was great. We watched that movie so many times. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like
we ruined a VHS watching it so many times.
We watched that, the handful of the same stuff from the video store all the time. It was Mario's Dungeons or Double Dragon.
Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat,
all the video game movies. I mean, that's.
Yep.
We killed the VHS on that.
We loved them. They were absolutely awesome, and they still are to me. Like, I'm watching through Super Mario, and I'm remembering all this stuff. And yeah, that's a movie I watch. Every year I'll watch Super Mario Brothers just to go back and relive it. But like, it was awesome to me. It was awesome to you. It was awesome to all of our friends. Thought it was great. So I don't know when this
something changed in
hate
the past
on Mario
decade.
Happened.
Someone said that movie's
critics
terrible.
Somewhere decided it was bad, and that's cool. That's their opinion. But to the kids who went and watched the movie, as far as I know, everyone I knew thought it was great.
Yeah, it was Mario.
And it's cheesy. It's weird. It's Super Mario meets Blade Runner.
Right.
In this post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
But it's awesome.
Right. So, I mean, you haven't seen it. I mean, it's Mario and Luigi. It's John Leguizamo as Luigi. And what's his name?
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins. And Bob Hoskins, we knew him from Hook. He played Smee in Hook. We knew who he was. And also
Roger Rabbit, who framed
Roger Rabbit. I mean, so good characters there. And they had the princess, but she wasn't really. I kind of looked into her name, and I haven't seen her in anything until she played the wife
just a couple
on The Punisher, but she dies within the first 5 minutes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but she dies almost instantly. She was in a couple of movies. She was in a lot
of different of that TV show kind of things.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. Essentially, what it is these typical New York plumbers. They end up getting into it where when it's cross-dimensional. So when the meteor strikes, that it makes all the dinosaurs extinct. What happens is instead of actually making them extinct, it just split humans and the dinosaurs. They kind of went into their own dimension and evolved separately from humans. And so it's like the mammalian world and the reptilian world. Well, where all of the Mario stuff that you know and love happens in this other dimension. I mean, there's the King Koopa, there's Goombas, and Bob-ombs, and the Fungus, and Yoshi. Everything that you like. I mean, they found a way for it to be in the movie.
To fit in, yeah, they wrote it in.
In the storytelling fashion that they used for this movie. I mean,
it fits within the universe that they created. The boots. I love the boots. I want a pair of those jumping boots.
Yeah.
It's like gas pressurized jumping boots, so they could jump really high and really far.
Yeah, they came up with an answer to pretty much everything that was in the games. I mean, the high jumping, they had the suits, the red and green suits.
Right. The maintenance suits. They had the guns that shot fireballs.
Yep, fireball guns, and I mean, it was awesome, and it had all of its own aspects. But I mean,
the de-evolving gun.
Yeah, that was the Nintendo Super Scope.
Yeah, the Super Scope.
Slightly modified to de-evolve,
right?
or what? I mean, but we didn't care. I mean, that was Super Mario. It was just part of the franchise.
It was just more of it, and we loved it. And like we'd sit around and draw pictures of us in the Super Mario thing, and we'd play Super Mario, and we made Kinects like boots,
the
jumper boots, and
yeah. I mean, that's how it was, and I was always Luigi, and you're always Mario, and every group of kids that grew up playing Mario games, you know who was Luigi and who was Mario, because it was the same your whole childhood.
It's just how it works.
You were the Luigi, and you were the Mario. You guys, who can connect with that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so, I mean, when it came down to drawing it, I was always drawing Luigi, and you're always drawing Mario. I mean, it was just like, that's just the way that our childhood was. I mean, it was just...
Oh, yeah.
And that movie, I think, was a huge part of us growing up. I mean, that was like one of my most memorable Mario-related memories.
Because we would watch it so much. Like we'd watch the Ninja Turtle movies, but we owned all three of those. So we watched them all the time. Hook all the time. Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We'd rent Super Mario, Double Dragon. We owned Mortal Kombat. And we
didn't own Mortal Kombat at first. The Tylers across the street had it, and they let us borrow it all the time.
Right.
We ended up getting it from them.
We always borrowed movies from them.
Mortal Kombat.
But those were the big ones. I mean, we just watched them over and over and over again. And, of course, Star Wars, because Star Wars was actually one of the first... It was the first movie that I ever purchased, but that's a different episode, too. So anyway...
The Wars. But, I mean,
that's how influential Mario was for us. Like, when we're growing up, like, single digits, and we're playing the games, and we're watching the movies, and all the way through, junior high, high school, and into today, it's still there. It's still that powerful influence on us. So.
And they keep coming out with games, and the games are so good. The stuff on the Wii and the Wii U, and now you've got, like, Super Mario Maker.
I really want that one.
We would have literally died if we had that when we were little kids.
Right
you
now,
Mario.
You could. Right, like you can just sit down and play Mario for the rest of your life now and never play the same level ever again.
All the levels are being uploaded online. I mean, people are making stuff.
That's insanity.
Endless Super Mario, more than you could ever play. That just blows my mind. It's crazy. I didn't even know it existed.
It's the beginning.
And I heard, my Japanese students, I hear them, there's a Super Mario Maker, and I was like, so what?
Maker? What?
Super Mario Maker? On Wii U? Whoa! And I had to look it up. I was like, oh my goodness. How?
Yeah.
What
I saw some blurb on YouTube one day. I was scrolling through, and I was like, what is this? I just figured it was some weird hack. No.
Could you imagine when we were kids? Game. I just don't know what we would have done.
Oh, we played the original Mario over and over again, and those were the same levels.
Yeah. It's crazy. Kids got it so good with Mario these days, man.
So Mario, it's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll have a future episode. We'll throw in the Wizard.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Wizard in more detail
at some
one day.
Point. 3D Mario games. We'll definitely go over those because there's a few of those that are just
maybe we'll call
awesome.
It part 2 of the Mario episode.
Part 2.
The other half. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, absolutely awesome. If you don't know anything about Mario,
you probably still don't know a whole lot more than you used to listening to us.
Everybody knows Mario.
Yeah. All the stuff
everyone in the world
before,
knows Mario.
Presented to you from the Couch Classics.
Right.
General Mario information and why we love it.
Right. Because it's awesome. It's just one of those things.
Guys, go out
there. So thanks for checking it out.
Love something. Get passionate about something.
if you guys heard that it's bad or something and didn't give it a chance, or you watched it once and you didn't like it, go back and watch it again. Look at it a different way. Like
they're not making this kind of content
always
anymore.
Try and look at it different. Like even if you're watching something, like if you really hate something, sit down and watch it as a parody, and it'll change the way that you're watching it. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I do it all the time with like I really love bad movies just because of the way that they are, you know. It's awesome. It's hilarious. Anyway, check this stuff out. It's awesome. We absolutely love it, of course. And honestly, I think everyone should give it an honest chance before they just throw it out the window because somebody said that it was bad.
Yeah. We said it was good, so now you believe that.
Yeah. And we're awesome, so
so go
check it out.
Or else like, comment, subscribe, check us out on Instagram and Twitter and
Facebook,
Yammers, and what I don't know what all those other different things.
Check it out. Anyways, check out our other videos. Like, subscribe, hate us, comment, let us know what you think, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.